Okay, in this sort of part 2 of our Intro to the Money assignment, I'm going to go through layer organization, and then we're going to give the analogous money a face and a mask. So if you see here, we've got a ton of layers, and it's only going to get worse. So creating layer groups and folders is really, really helpful. Down here at the bottom, you'll see the little folder icon. I want you to create 3 of them. One for monochromatic, one for analogous, and then lastly, complementary. If you did white and black, you could do another one for black and white. Once you've done that, then it's about dragging the appropriate layers into the right folders. So this white layer will go into black and white, and you can see when I'm rolling over, it either goes in between the 2 layers or right on top of the layer group. If you let go right on top, you can see that it is below, it's in that layer grouping. Okay, I'm just going to hide that momentarily. Okay, complementary, I can select all of these by holding Shift, drag that into complementary, collapse that. Okay, and I'm going to hide it just to see that I'm doing this all properly. Analogous, I can click on the top one, hold Shift, just click down on the bottom one, drag in, collapse, and monochromatic. Collapse, I'm going to hide that one, hide the text, hide the money logo. You should be left with analogous and color fill. Okay, so I'm going to click on analogous, open it up so I can actually see my layers that I'm working with and kind of get in there. So if I create a new layer, I know it's going to be within this folder. We're going to create eyes, and I'm going to show you the way that I would create it in terms of being able to get the most control over expression and design and such. So I'm going to create a new layer, and I'm going to name it left eye, and another layer, and I'm going to name it right eye. Okay, using our shape tool. Now if you remember, these guys down here are our vector tools. So if I click on the shape, you'll see up in properties, it's got shape, path, and pixels. Now shape, this is going to make a lot more sense once we've gone into Illustrator. This is a vector tool. These are vector tool properties. So if I were to want to create an eye using an ellipse out of this guy, and I create an ellipse, you can see all of these options pop up, and then it creates a vector icon here. So we don't want that, not yet anyways. So let's go undo. If I create something with a path, same sort of tool items come up, nothing gets filled in with paint, and nothing's going on over here. What you've actually done is created a work path, which we won't get into at the 10 level, we'll get into at the 20 and 30 level. So let's not worry about that one either. Let's work for now with pixels. This would be as close to working with a paintbrush as we can get. So if I grab a foreground color of white, if I hold down Shift, I'm going to drag out a perfect circle. Okay, so let's hold down Shift. Oops, just lost my color there. Hold down Shift on that layer, go to the right eye, hold down Shift, and drag out another one. Now using my Select and Move tool, I have full control over where I put these guys. Now they're snapping to a grid right now. If we go up to View, we can turn off Snap. Then I have control. You have a lot of your sort of extras in here for snapping, for grids, for rulers, etc. Okay, now I'm going to put a pupil on each eye, but I don't actually want to put it on these layers. I'm going to create 2 more layers. Left eye pupil. Right eye pupil. Okay, so my right eye is this guy here. I'm going to grab a brush Okay, and I'm just going to make sure that my brush is full opacity and completely hard. And I'm going to click once. My left eye pupil, same thing. Okay, so now that they're on their own layers, I can move everything around. Now, it's really good to have control like this, but now it becomes a pain if I move one, the other one doesn't move, and so on. You can link and group layers together. So I'm going to grab the left eye, hold Shift, left eye pupil, right click, link layers. Now you can see that these guys are linked. So if I clicked on one of them, they're both going to move. But I can always unlink them if I wanted to edit within. So right eye, let's link those guys. Left eye, let's link those guys. Okay, now because they're linked, when I move them, they're going to move together. Okay, let's go through creating a little sort of ninja mask if we wanted to make him have a mask. Now, obviously, one way to do it would be to grab your brush tool and simply paint something behind him. Okay, notice how I didn't stay within my outlines. So if you're comfortable with a brush, by all means, that could be an option. You could, because you have this outline available to you still, you could grab the outline, go back up to your mask layer, grab your brush, use a large brush, do one swoop through and sort of try to achieve a mask situation that way. You could jump into your marquee selection lasso tools. These are your free form, kind of free drawing lasso tools. They behave the exact same way as a magic wand, except you're controlling where it's selecting. So if I drew a line around there and then painted, that's what would happen. It behaves the exact same way as if you were using a magic wand tool and painting. So you could grab your magic wand tool, jump in here, lasso to subtract some area, and then go through and paint. Okay, so there's a few different options there. But I wanted to introduce to you your custom shape tool. So it's under all of your shapes, and again, I want you to remind you to stay under pixels. If you open up your shapes, you've got a library. Now, it'll open up default to whoever or whatever was open the last time Photoshop was opened usually. But if I click on my settings option, you've got all of these different categories. If you have no idea what any of these mean, just hit all. And it will load all of them. Replace current shapes with the shapes from all. Okay. So now these are all of your shapes. You could use any of these in your illustration. So what I was thinking we could do is grab one of these sort of banner looking shapes, click and drag out. Okay, now it was on pixels, got green there. I can move it around. Okay, the thing I like about this is it goes kind of outside of my outline, which is awesome. Okay, I could go up to Edit, Transform, or Free Transform, which is also Control T, and then that enables me to sort of change it. Now holding Shift will keep it proportioned. Maybe I don't need to do Shift in this particular one if I want to change the size of it. Hit Enter to set that. But I can also play around with warp tools. So go nuts in here. Perspective, probably not so much, but distort, skew, rotate, warp. Warp is going to give you these kind of weird little handles. You'll notice when you drag them up, you're warping them along a vector path of sorts. You can move the points on the grid Hit enter when you've got something that you like. And now we've got almost like a little headband. If I want to use it as maybe a ninja mask, I can bring this up. Now I can also use this as mask outline. So what I mean by that is if I selected this, now created mask shading, jump into an analogous sort of color scheme, turn down my opacity, grab a really soft brush, could grab some shading on his little mask. I could create a layer right behind mask ties. Okay, and grab my eyedropper tool, grab that original mask. Now with your pen tablet, because yours will be pressure sensitized, I'm not on a pen tablet right now, you could do little ties off the side if you wanted. Now notice my layers stack. If these guys were on top, I would see them there. Below the shading, mask outline. So that all those techniques kind of work too if you wanted to, like, say, put pants on him. So I could grab my magic wand tool, go back to my outline layer, which is one of the main reasons why we keep this untouched. If I was going to say shadows or something, it's not going to be able to pick it up as much. Okay, so let's grab this. Let's create a new layer and name it pants. Let's grab a lasso tool on subtract because I don't want all of his shirt up here. I want to subtract that. Oops. Okay, color that in. We're going to have to bring that up above the painting. Okay, and then depending on how you want to roll with it, you could just highlight it or shade it. Oops. Within this area on this layer, or you could create new layers, just depending on how in depth you want to go. So that's pretty much the basics. I think that's given you enough tools to really go through and play with all kinds of different options in your illustration project. I look forward to seeing what you guys create.